I would download the Facebook app. I would start creating content. And then I would jump into some Facebook groups immediately because I've always believed that most people online just consume, and I would commit to being a contributor. And I honestly feel, Simon, that within 30 days, I could probably build up a network from 500 to 1,000 people, taking that attitude, that approach of contribution and creating content, generating new connections. And I'd probably get to the point of enrolling 5, 10, 15, 20 people in those first 30 days.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. I'm fired up to bring our special guest today. He's a good friend of mine, and I just see him grow and make an impact over thousands of people in the last couple of years. That's been really inspiring. We have Brian Fryer. Hey, Coach Fryer, are you ready to make it happen?
I sure am, Simon. I'm fired up. Thanks so much for the invite to be on this incredible podcast. I'm fired up. Thanks for the invite, buddy.
Brian Fryer was a professional baseball player before he got started in MLM. And this was pretty cool when I found out. Not when he was a professional player, but when I dug it up a little bit on Baseball Reference, he was a stud. He hit like 320 or something like that, stole 60-something stolen bases. You know, for those who follow me, I'm a big baseball fan, and I thought this guy is coolest network marketer ever. But he eventually went from baseball player, from a stud at AA, didn't make it to the majors, but got started in MLM, and then built a successful network marketing business before he became a full-time business coach. Today, he's a speaker, an author, and featured as one of the top social media influencers in the entire direct selling profession. Brian has helped thousands of distributors through his online communities, events, and personal coaching. He and his wife and 4 kids live out in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So, Coach Fryer, Brian, welcome to the show. Why don't you just take us through the background about your baseball? How did you go from a baseball player to network marketing?
Yeah, it's a crazy backstory, man. Again, excited to be here, Simon. Thanks so much for the invite. The short version is this, man. I grew up in Southern California, not far from where you live, and I had a lifelong dream of playing professional baseball. After playing my first 4 years, I actually suffered a back injury, and I spent thousands of dollars on chiropractors, massage, acupuncture. Simon, I tried everything. Nothing was helping. I got a phone call right after that from a family friend. She was a principal at a school, and she said, hey, one of the teachers at my school is selling this juice stuff. It might help your back. And so I was pretty much at wit's end, and I gave the person a call, tried the product. Within the next 4 weeks, I was back in the gym lifting weights, back on the baseball field playing. And shortly after that, Simon, is when I learned that there was a business opportunity attached to that product. And that was my introduction to the network marketing profession.
So when did you actually decide to build a business as opposed to just using a product? And what's the transition from when did you decide to hey, I got to move on from baseball and do something else?
Yeah, for sure. So I got introduced to this product and or the network marketing profession 4 years into my baseball career. I then went on to play an additional 4 years of professional baseball, so 8 years total. But it was shortly after I got introduced to that product, I would say about 6 months after that, is when I started to really dive deeper into what the profession could provide for us. Why? Because we also had just found out around that same time, Simon, that my wife was pregnant with our very first child. And I started thinking about the life after baseball and what that looked like, and eventually wanting to be home full time with my family and raise my kids.
So how did you do once you got started?
Most people laugh, Simon. I always say this. My first 4 years in network marketing, I did not make a single dollar in profit. Okay. I made $100 here, $100 there, but that all went right back into buying more product, going to my corporate functions. It was so bad, Simon. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I was literally claiming a loss on my taxes my first 4 years. That's kind of how I got started.
So looking back, what mistakes did you make?
Yeah, great question. Coming off of playing professional baseball, I maybe am not a fan of admitting it, but I probably had an ego per se. This thought that I would just be successful at whatever I did, and unfortunately, that was not the case. I was probably not very coachable. I thought that I knew best, although I had never done network marketing before. And I think that was one of my biggest hurdles, was not being coachable, wanting to do things my way, even though I had zero experience in network marketing in general.
So what changed? Why did you, obviously you had to change. So what made you change and become coachable and change that mindset?
Yeah. Number one, I got to attribute it to a couple of mentors I had early on. They just kept instilling in me that I had the potential, that I could do this, but obviously some things had to change. I think the second reason is after my first network marketing company I was with for 4 years, unfortunately, they went under. And I had ran off all my warm market, family members, friends, they all ran from me, but my mentors were having success. So I knew the profession, I knew the industry worked. I just had to figure out how to work it. And so it took me 4 years for the light bulb to go off, of removing my ego, become more coachable. And that really was a pivotal moment.
Was there a specific event? You talk about a light bulb moment. Was there a specific light bulb moment that all of a sudden things really start taking off and you start to have success?
Yeah, I mean, the light bulb for me was after 4 years and personally recruiting only 50 people over the course of the 4 years, to literally going to family functions and them literally running away from me and saying like, "Oh my gosh, here he comes. He's probably going to talk about his products or his pyramid business again or whatever." The light bulb started going off, and this is what actually pushed me or encouraged me, Simon, to start diving into the online space and social media. And so when I talk about a pivotal moment, going to the online space, realizing the amount of folks out there who didn't know who I was, and the opportunity that was there as well, opened up a lot of doors for us.
So a lot of people face a similar situation, but they're like, "Oh, you know what? I haven't had success yet. My family can't stand me. They're running or hiding from me. I'm not qualified to show up on social media." But obviously, you did not do that. You were able to find people on social media. Walk people through that process, the mental process, of how you can just show up, even though you're struggling, not making much money, but you can all of a sudden show up online.
Yeah, another great question. I've always said this, that success is a decision. Making an impact is a decision. Showing up on social media is a decision. When folks come to me nowadays, Simon, and they say, my warm market's tapped out, nobody's responding to me, family members, friends, most people see that as a dead end. But I actually see that as now like an opportunity. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You've already gone through your warm market. Fantastic. Because what I've learned after 14, 15 years now is if you want to start generating more zeros in your paycheck or adding a comma or two to your paychecks, you got to have to tap into the cold market anyways, right? The people who do not yet know who you are. And I believe social media opens up a lot of doors for that to be able to happen.
So if someone wants to do social media, what is the first thing they should do?
You go spam your products all over your wall, and no, I'm just kidding. You don't do that, right? We're just joking. We got jokes, right, Simon? We got jokes.
Yes.
If someone was just starting in network marketing, and let's say they have 500 friends on Facebook, what I would do, or what I would encourage, is to start. We'll call those 500 friends their warm market per se when it comes to social media. Those are folks who they may or may not have had a conversation with up to that point. But I love teaching like a simple indirect script, Simon, that you could reach out, talk to that first 25, 30, 40, 50 folks, something that's, non-threatening, something that's indirect, something that's not salesy, and asking them a simple question.
So what is that indirect script?
Sure. I knew you were going to ask that. I just had a feeling. So it would go something like this. It would go something like, "Hey, Simon, it's Brian here. Hey, buddy, listen, I know we've been connected on Facebook now for about a year, and I've never reached out to say hello, man. I apologize. Listen, I just want to reach out. This you may or may not have noticed, but I recently started my own online business. Now, I know the business is probably not of interest to you, but I feel you could benefit from some of these products. Is that something you're open to learning more about? If not, no worries, buddy. So just something simple like that, right? So there's a lot of sales psychology involved there. Throwing the business opportunity out there, but then taking it away because someone like yourself might think, oh gosh, here comes a business pitch, and I immediately take that away. And so what we have found is that with your top 25, 30, 40, 50 social contacts, this works extremely well.
Yes, I think because people generally like to support each other, people, but they don't want to be sucked into something, right? And they're busy. Totally. Every 99.9% people are busy. They don't have no time for an opportunity or business, even though they may be interested. But they'll initially, if you want me to take a look at business, I'll say no, I'm busy. But they're definitely open to looking at being a customer to support you. Hey, how have you seen? So when did you actually make a transition to being a coach? What was the, what was going through your mind? Why did you transition from being a building to a coach?
Yeah, great question. Again, I always like to say first, though, like I never had dreams or aspirations of being a top coach, social media coach, business coach. It was never on my radar. You and I are faith oriented. I believe God just opens up doors, and as long as we keep an open mind to continue to step through those, more opportunities are going to present themselves, right? So, so we built in the field for 8 years. So you guys heard a little bit about my story. The first 4 years, I struggled. I faced lots of challenges, really didn't make any money. And then I spent the next year and a half or so diving into the online space. Facebook was just coming to the scene, started learning attraction marketing, what have you. And at that point, Simon, is when we joined our second company. We were with that second company for 3 years. We became the number 4 income earners in that company within the first 6 months and held that title for the next 2.5, 3 years. Unfortunately, after that, with that company for 3 years, that company went away. And that was the pivotal moment where I was kind of down in the dumps. I was kind of, not feeling too hot at that time, but it was kind of refreshing because that's the moment where I started getting emails, phone calls, messages from leaders all over the world, all different companies saying, Brian, I'm not trying to recruit you, but can you teach me what you just did in your last company on social media? More importantly, can you come train my team? And so that was about 6 years ago, Simon, when I transitioned from being in the field to serving the entire profession as a generic coach.
So how have you seen social media change in the last 6 years? Let's say from you starting 6 years ago to now.
Yeah, that's another great question. I think that not even just the last 6 years, it almost seems like every single day, right? Social media is changing. I always say that there's only one constant with technology, and that is change. It's going to constantly change. It's going to constantly evolve. And I think that's, it's become now, a passion of mine to help network marketers continue to, because let's be honest, with it changing every day, every week, every month, every year, it overwhelms a lot of folks. And so, one of the things I've found a lot of joy in is simplifying that the involvement of technology. As far as technology goes, it's changed a lot. It's going to continue to change, but I continue to say this: the principles of creating a successful network marketing business, online or offline, will not change. Right? You still have to create conversations. You still have to expose people to your products or business. You still have to point people to tools. You still have to invite to, an online presentation or an in-person one. And so, a lot of those core principles are always going to remain the same.
Yeah, I think, you brought up something that made me think about, I think, you've seen this a lot too, like the people who try to get on top of the latest trend and take advantage of it, and then they just hop around. They generally don't do that well, right? But the principles of, because the things are changing all the time. Like you can say Zuckerberg, he doesn't really know what's going to happen either, right? He's evolving because AI is coming. All these other things are coming. And TikTok competitors are coming in. So I think if you're trying to, I see a lot of people, I want to master this one thing, and then they master it, but then things have changed, right? But the people who do well, I definitely, for my business, I've seen it for you, it's like the consistency of providing value, right? You may not get an A+ in doing this, but just by putting out there, giving value, staying and showing up every day, that goes a long way. That's better than the person trying to figure something out. And once it doesn't work, it gives up and stops.
Yeah, sure is. You're the king of consistency, man. I've admired your level of consistency for so many years now, and I think that's something that gets overlooked. I think that sometimes just the conversation of consistency, right? People are like, "Oh yeah, I'm consistent," but when it comes, push comes to shove, they're not. And just like you said, with social media evolving every day, every week, every month. I mean, let's take Reels for example. I know when Reels came out a couple of years ago, like all of a sudden hundreds of Reels coaches all of a sudden surfaced, and then now just in the last couple of months, like Reels are still great. They're still a great growth metric and a way to get in front of new folks and tap into new audiences, but we've seen them scale back quite a bit. Something like on Instagram, Reels are powerful, yes, but something as simple as like carousels now on Reels have just as much, if not more weight as far as getting in front of new eyeballs and new people than Reels do.
Yeah, I think, and what you said is like, if you're trying to do everything to evolve, it can get overwhelming. Because I know I've been overwhelmed with it, and I'm sure you have been overwhelmed. And talk about Reels, when it first came out, like, oh my goodness, that's 10 times the reach than a normal video, right? Or 20 times than any post. But those days are gone. And I've discovered like just posting a regular, and by every day, like on my Instagram, 4 or 5 times a week, I post a video, right? Like those recorded upload videos. And recently I found those actually do better than Reels.
Yeah, now that's amazing. And you and I, let's rewind the tape a little bit. 5-6 years ago, when something like Facebook Live came out, you and I were doing Facebook Lives all the time, and I mean, we were getting thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of views every single Facebook Live. And over time now, I still think Facebook Lives are a great part of a marketing strategy, because it's putting your name, your face, your voice, your energy in front of your audience. But nowadays, I mean, instead of thousands of views, we're lucky once we finish that live to get a few hundred. And although that might feel deflating, I still think it's a critical part of marketing on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you're getting results in those live videos.
Lots and lots of results. And
yes.
I think sometimes network marketers especially would get caught up in the vanity metrics and focusing too much on views, too much on likes, and too much on comments. And the reality is relationships is what matters most, right? We're not in the product business. We're not in the whose compensation plan is better business. At the end of the day, we're in the people business.
Yeah. And because I still do those live videos like 5 times a week, and the reach is definitely not where it used to be, but they still work. And you can also argue many ways where because you brought back to the relationships, is like the people you're only getting a couple hundred versus like tens of thousands. Those couple hundred are much better audience than the tens of thousands, more targeted, and people who actually want to follow Coach Fryer than just any type of person.
Yeah, just to put it in perspective, right, Simon? I think that if someone was to listen to this right now and they're like, well, Coach Fryer and Simon, I only get 50 or 100 views when I do a live video. You and I would be the first to say, my gosh, imagine standing in front of a room speaking to 50 people or 75 people or 100 people. Like, think of it in that regards. Don't think of it as just, oh, I only got 100 views. Think of it as like, I just had the opportunity and privilege to speak in front of 100 people. Great perspective.
Yes, I actually even never, you put it in a great way. Yeah. Yeah. Think about like the work you had to do before social media came. What, you have to go to your town hall and just stand in the middle there and just talk. And a lot of these people show up, even if it's 10, 20 people, these are the fans that want to hear from you.
Yeah,
right?
No, you're exactly right. Or thinking about, going to stand in a Starbucks line and just, talking to every person that walks through the door. I mean, you'd have to be there for a few hours. I mean, thinking about talking to 100 different people, right? I mean, I think every single day, Simon, how grateful that we all are, to have the ability to have, technology literally at the palm of our hand. And literally you or I or anybody listening to this, push a single button right on our phone and literally get in front of 20, 50, 100, 200, 500 people. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's 5 people, like there's 5 people that you can help, 5 people you can connect better, that will connect better with you and like you and get to know who you are. And, in terms of content, you talk about social media, we talk about Reels, carousels. If someone was to start today, like what type of content should they post? Just say like, hey, I know, I'm inspired by Coach Fryer. All right, I know I need to post. What should they start with?
Yeah, for sure. I'd actually just love to share a simple exercise, if that's fine, Simon, that I love teaching folks. It's something I've taught for, the last 10, 11 years now. I still teach it to this day. It's something that I do myself. And so it's very simple. So for those taking notes, I would suggest writing this down. I call this the 5 pillars of your brand. Okay. It's 3 simple steps. Step number 1, brain dump on a piece of paper, 25 to 30 words or small phrases that tell me more about you, some of your values, your hobbies, your interests, things you like to do, things you don't like to do. I just want you to just brain dump as many things as you can, right? Imagine that you and I were to meet in person. You handed me this piece of paper with all of these words or phrases on it. Without even knowing you, I would look at it and read it, and I would have a pretty good idea what type of person you were, okay? So think of it like that. So that's step number 1, brain dump. Step number 2, now look at those 25 to 30 words or small phrases and circle what you feel are the top 5, right? What are the 5 things that you're looking at now that just jump off the paper at you and you're just like, oh my gosh, like that right there, that's me. That encompasses who I am, what I value, what have you, okay? Last but not least, step number 3, take those 5 things that you circled, flip the paper over, and now just list them in order of importance. So what you're going to come up with are 5 pillars, pillars 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is a great place to start, Simon. For most folks who are newer to social media, who have been on social media for a while, still don't really have any rhyme, any reason, no plan. But now it gives you 5 pillars or 5 buckets of content to start creating.
That is gold. Awesome. So like if one of my buckets was my boys, I'll start posting content about them.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll take it a step further and actually share just a posting plan of what we teach. So the 5 pillars of your brand exercise, that's like the first part of the formula. The second part would then be, I don't even know what today is. What's today? Wednesday? I think today's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. So for the sake of example, let's say you just did your 5 pillars, Simon. What I would say is, okay, you haven't posted yet today. So today, go create a piece of content about pillar number 1. Tomorrow, Thursday, would be pillar 2, Friday, pillar 3, Saturday, pillar 4, Sunday, pillar 5, Monday, right back to pillar 1. And go on this 5-day rotation for the next 15 days so that you can start creating a habit of creating a consistent variety of content. Okay. I'll give you maybe 1 or 2 quick examples here. So, faith is something, Simon, that you and I, a value that you and I have in common. And so, for me, Coach Fryer, faith is pillar number 1 for me. So, every 5th day, if you were to go look at my Facebook, for example, every 5th day, you're going to see something in the form of content that is faith oriented. Might be a scripture, might be a verse, just might be my own words that are faith oriented, what have you. But that's just about every 5th day. Okay. If I was, one of the listeners tuning in, let's say that maybe you promote a health and wellness product, for example. Okay. Health and wellness is probably going to be one of your 5 pillars because that's an interest of yours. So every 5th day, you might create a piece of educational content, something that's helpful, resourceful in regards to health and wellness on your Facebook profile, for example. So hopefully that kind of gives your folks some ideas.
Yes, really good. Do you have a routine? Like, do you create all 5 pillars in one sitting, ideas, or you come through the just moments of inspiration?
Yeah, great question. I think everybody's different, Simon. Me personally, I operate best more kind of spur of the moment. I've been doing this for so many years now that I don't necessarily go in order, like pillar 1 this day, pillar 2 the next day. But I think that's important for most to do that for at least 15 days so that you just start to get the hang of creating a variety of content. For me nowadays, I just know that every few days, right? I just kind of know, what have I not talked about lately? And if I feel inspired in that moment, I'm going to create a piece of content about that. If I don't, then I don't. I think that that's just how I operate. But on the other side, there are folks out there who love to prepare. So if that's, if you're listening in and you're someone who likes to prepare in advance, maybe you take, a Sunday evening, for example, or a Monday morning to plan out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 posts for the week in regards to each pillar. Take 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I think you could knock it out and you'd be prepared for the week.
When do you create your posts? What time of day?
Another great question. That's probably one of the most frequently asked questions, especially over on YouTube. What's the best time of day to post on social media?
Actually, no. It's not when's the best time to post, but when do you create your post?
Oh, when do I create? Like, when do I actually make my post?
Because you post every day, correct?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. So there are definitely, like, for me, I do it in the morning because I'm fresh. But like, I'm sure there's days sometimes. I mean, my question is, do you do order in the morning or during the moments of inspiration, or do you ever find days where it's at night? Oh my goodness, I haven't posted yet, but you're gonna go make it happen? Like, how does it work?
Yeah. So to be honest, there is no rhyme, no reason. I prefer to post in the morning, just like you, Simon. For me, I'm Eastern Standard Time Zone. I know you're Pacific, so I'm 3 hours ahead of you. But what I have found, works best for me is around 8:45 a.m. Eastern for me. I know I know, Simon, you're probably awake at that time, but maybe a lot of other people on the Pacific coast are not. But that works well for me. When it comes to doing live videos, Simon, what I have found is that around 2:30 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I get the best traction for live videos. So you won't see me doing live videos in the morning or in the evenings anymore. It's always going to be that midday. But then lastly, like you said, heaven forbid I didn't get to post that morning, and I want to, I get inspired and want to share something, then, the evening around 9 p.m. Eastern typically works out best. But again, I always say that, my audience might be different than yours, and yours might be different to someone listening in. And that's something that we should all test and tweak ourselves.
That's interesting because you brought a good point it's about the audience, and it's also how you train your audience too, right? Like, your followers are used to you. Like, you go 2 to 3:30 Eastern. I know, like, I've done that where I've gone live, and it's like crickets. No one shows up on my lives when I do it in the midday, but they show up in the morning, or I do in the evening. They'll show up.
I think that's a great example, Simon. Right here, you and I are impacting lots of folks, but we have a completely different live video strategy. I think that's important for your listeners, especially to hear that it comes down to their audience for sure.
It's also where your followers, where they live too, right?
Yep.
Like, I have a big following in Asia, and I think in midday US they're still sleeping, right? And I don't have as many people on the East Coast anymore. So 2 to 3 is like 12 o'clock. Most people are working in California as well. So
yeah, it's a great point. A great point.
And I think, for me, what's worked well is the reason I do my live really early in the morning is the most consistent time. The only time I can find myself doing it, because of the kids and the schedule, I got to do it before they wake up. And otherwise, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, here's another point to add to that. As you mentioned earlier, we've got 4 kids. I've got 4 kids, and over the, when I first got started back in the days, 10 plus years ago, doing videos and live videos started 6 or so years ago. I realized that a lot of my lives, Simon, back when I started, were in the evenings. Because my target audience were people who were working, 9 to 5s, and they would get home, eat dinner, prepare, get the kiddos for bed, and then they'd come hang out on social media for an hour before they go to bed. And so, 8:30, 9 p.m. used to be my prime time for doing videos in the evenings. But since I've gotten older, my kids have gotten older, just like you, like anytime after 2 p.m., 3 p.m. now, like I've got kids' activities. I'm a taxi driver driving all over the place, literally 4 nights a week, picking up my girls from competitive dance at 9 p.m. at night. So videos in the evening no longer work for me. So I had to adjust as the years have gone on. And I think that that's important for everybody to understand too.
There is also, like, after you've been a taxi driver for your kids, it's much harder to do a live video at 9 p.m. coming home. You're mentally tired.
We're exhausted. We just want to just lay in bed, and the time we go to sleep is just getting, earlier and earlier.
Yeah, I think you made me think of something. Like, as we get older, our audience gets older too. Right?
You're exactly right.
We all get older. We all change. Hey, I know you have a ton of great resources. What are some you shared a lot of nuggets here? What are some resources? And then you got a social impactor group. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I think that's probably the best resource. Social Impactors is the name of the group. It's been in existence for over 5 years now. It's a free Facebook group. There's over 15,000 network marketers, direct sellers, entrepreneurs, social sellers in there. It's designed for those who have an interest in growing their name, their brand, their business on social media. It's super powerful. I mean, literally, I'm in there, Simon, every single day. It's not an overwhelming amount of content, but it's very simple, very helpful. It's a great community.
At ML Nation, we'll put the link in the show notes page, or you're watching on YouTube, we'll put it in the description where you can click and be part of the group. Then it's free, right?
Yep, absolutely free. Yep, has been for over 5 years.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for your time. You've been amazing. We can talk forever, but we're going to wrap up the show here, and I'm going to ask you some quick questions to pick your brain. Okay, and these can be quick one-liners. So the first one is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you?
Favorite success quote is, if you don't invest in yourself because you're afraid of losing money, then you don't trust yourself enough to do the work.
Ooh, that's good. Who's that by?
It's by me. I actually created it not long ago.
I like that. Because that's so true. Because if you trust yourself, you can do the work. Why would you not invest in yourself? Right. Very good. What is one habit that's helped you become successful?
I think morning routine. Morning routine has been crucial for me. For me personally, it's getting up in the morning, obviously drinking my coffee. I'm a big coffee guy, but spending time in scripture, prayer for me, and then reading my book of choice every morning. It's devoted 30 minutes. I just feel like it helps me fill my cup before I can go fill the cup of others.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Oh gosh, I've received a lot. Just do it, right? Just like Nike. I think that, in business, especially network marketing, we tend to overcomplicate, overthink things. And the reality is if we just keep things simple, we just go out there, share the product, share the opportunity, have the conversations, success is inevitable.
What do you recommend as a prospecting tool for the people you coach and mentor? Like, so if there's a qualified prospect, do they send a personal video, a company video? Do they get on the phone first, a Zoom first? What do you recommend?
Yeah, great question. I've always taught to point that prospect to your strength. So if you're someone listening and your company has, a 3 to 5 minute product video, leverage that resource. If your company has a 3 to 5 minute business opportunity video, leverage that resource. And I've always said that, heaven forbid, if your company is maybe newer, doesn't have that resource, go make it yourself. I think that's part of the system, right, Simon? Not reinventing the wheel. Whether it was a cassette tape, 20, 30 years ago in the profession, network marketers who created success always pointed to a tool.
So if you say point to your strength. If your strength is being on a phone with someone, then you use that tool.
I would highly recommend. Yeah, absolutely. If you're someone who's building online and your strength is in the DMs, asking a few questions, that was my personal favorite. And then point to a tool if needed.
That's good. What's your favorite app on your phone that's not a social media app?
Favorite app on my phone that's not a social media app? I would have to say probably. Gosh, I'm sitting here looking at it right now. I'm gonna just say my text messages. Now that I've got a teen, I've got a 14-year-old. She's my oldest, and just being able to communicate and text with her, have conversations as she's continuing to grow. As long as staying in touch with my family, I would definitely say my text message app.
What are 2 or 3 books you could recommend to ML Nation?
Yeah, great question. The first one I actually just got done reading 2 months ago, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. To me, that was super, super powerful and inspiring. And then on a more personal side, Simon, the second book is called Winning the War in Your Mind by Craig Groeschel. He's actually my former pastor when I lived in Texas. And, post-COVID and, a lot, me, like many others, had a lot of mindset challenges and, was struggling mentally. And this book was really, really powerful. No matter what mental challenges someone might be going through, highly recommend that book.
And here's the last question, the $1 million question. You ready?
Fire away.
So imagine you had to start all over again and you're building a network marketing business, right? But you knew no one. You didn't know your wife, didn't know your kids. You were like an alien that went to another planet, but you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you do or the first place you go to build a network marketing business from scratch?
I love it. I would download the Facebook app, right? I'd create a profile. I'd go through that 5-pillar exercise that I shared earlier in this episode. I would start creating content, and then I would jump into some Facebook groups immediately because I've always believed that most people online just consume, and I would commit to being a contributor. And I honestly feel, Simon, that within 30 days, I could probably build up a network from 500 to 1,000 people, taking that attitude, that approach of contribution and creating content, generating new connections. And I'd probably get to the point of enrolling 5, 10, 15, 20 people in those first 30 days.
Hey, as we wrap up, any last words or advice? And then what's the best way listeners and viewers can connect with you, Brian?
Yeah, words of wisdom. Number one, listen to everything Simon says, and he teaches you. He has a proven track record. It's been an absolute honor to be a part of the show today. And other than that, man, I'm just super excited for where the network marketing profession is headed. And the opportunity that you and I have to continue to serve those in it. As far as where they can find me, I think just coachfryer.com is a great resource. It's full of over 500 different blog posts, lots of great free content there. No matter whether you're someone just getting started, someone who's looking to scale your business, or you're a current leader, a lot of great insight and information there.
MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today you may hang out with Brian Fryer. So keep up the momentum and go to MLMNation.com, click on the podcast tab and the show notes and all the nuggets of wisdom that Brian shared, including the link to his website and the resources he has to our Facebook group, will be right there. Hey, in order to be successful in life and business and in network marketing, you must help others. So Brian, thanks again for sharing your valuable time with MLM Nation. We're grateful to you and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, and God bless you. Hey, MLM Nation, Simon Chan will recap from a great show from Brian Fryer. Hey, make sure to head over to MLMNation.com, and you can click on the show notes tab, and the links to his profile, his website, all the free resources he had are right there. And Brian spent a lot of time talking about, I'm going to share a couple of main things. Number one is that success is a decision. Success is a decision, right? So you can give all the excuses you want, but you're never going to be successful until you make that decision that, hey, I'm going to make it happen. I remember when my mentors told me, you can make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both. So some of you, if you want to build on social media or do whatever you want in your business, I'm sure you can give 100 reasons why you can't, or you're not that type of person. You don't feel comfortable doing it. At the end of the day, it's a decision. Are you going to do it or not? Are you going to change or not? And Brian shared about, if you burn out your warm market, great, then make that decision. You're going to go online, go on social media, and be a person giving values. He gave a lot of great nuggets there. Number one is Indirect Scrip, right? Say, hey, I just got started. I know we've been friends online. I just got to start with a business. It's probably not for you, but would you be interested in checking out about this product, right? Just go to the show notes, and I have the exact script right there for you. Now, you also talked about simplifying. We talk about simplifying, not being overwhelmed or all these different things, trying to do the latest thing, right? I think that's something that I've learned over the years. If I try to stay on top of everything, it can be overwhelming. But instead of just being consistent doing everything, like even like the Facebook Lives, even though they're not as good as they used to be, I show up every single day. Has helped me out as well, right? Whether it's Instagram Reels or TikTok, instead of trying to catch the latest trends, often when you try to get onto the latest trend, it is not the latest trend anymore, especially with sometimes you use the trending music, trending songs. By the time you hop onto it, it's kind of gone already, right? So the important thing is don't get overwhelmed with it, but stay consistent on social media content. And Brian laid out an awesome 5 pillars, right? 5 pillars. I'm going to recap that, and then we're going to wrap this up. Number one is list out 20 to 25 things, like a blind brain dump of what you are, who you are. If people ask you, who are you? What are 20 to 25 things? Right after you do that, then circle the top 5 things. And out of the top 5, then put them in order of importance. And every day, right, you post for one pillar. Pillar number 1, then next day pillar number 2, the next day pillar number 3. It's very similar to what I do with my pep talks, okay? Or the stuff I post online. On Sunday is my faith. On Monday is this. On Tuesday is this. And making sure you do it every single day. Consistency is really important. So, and we talk about target audience a little bit. And his quote I love as well. Hey, if you don't invest in yourself, it's because you don't believe that you will work hard enough to do the work. And that's so true. If you believe in yourself and know you're going to do the work, you got to invest in yourself, right? It is the best investment out there, investing in yourself. Anyway, hey, thanks again to Brian Fryer. Definitely go to follow him, check it out, his stuff. And if you like these episodes, hey, they take a lot of my time. They take up Brian's time as well. Please subscribe, leave us a review as well. Subscribe us on YouTube, follow us and subscribe to us on the podcast. And let me know what, let us know. I go through the reviews. I go through the feedback. Definitely let us know or comment below on the YouTube video. Anyway, that's what I have. I'm Simon Chan. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again to Brian Fryer. Now it's over to take action what you learn and go out there, have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all.